welcome to the Motor Trade Mentors podcast again, back for another episode. Today we have young Darren Sharp as our special guest and Mr. Theo Cook from Bowen's Garage. We're basically going to go into a deep dive as to what Darren's looking to do moving forward. He's watched a previous episode of ours, which was the what would you do if you had £50,000 episode? And I think he wants to quiz us on just some more questions to do with that. So first of all, Darren, if you've been so kind as to tell us where you are in your current situation at the moment, where we can find you, and a little bit of background on what you did before you decided that you wanted to jump into this car sales journey and join the club of blithering idiots and middle-aged foolishness.
So I've pretty much always been self-employed. So taking a jump from a job to working for myself isn't too daunting for me. About 10 years ago, started a wheel writing company, doing wills, powers of attorney, property trusts, that kind of stuff. I also started another business at that time, one that I won't go into too much today just for reasons. So the wheel writing company, I stopped in 2020 when the lockdowns were on, and I just never really got it going again. It was a means to an end, made an income, but it was something my dad done that got me into it, and just something I never really wanted to do myself. And then I shut down the other business must have come up to 12 months ago now. And I've just been sat essentially like on a pot of cash wondering, what do I do next? So yeah, around December time, I decided I'm going to do the motor trade. It's something I wanted to do in the past when I was running my other businesses. But frankly, I probably didn't have the money at the time. And so now it's finally time to get around to that.
Have you had any dabblings at all in the motor trade?
Yeah, so I've been to a couple of auctions so far. I've got some stock. I've got one up sold, and it sold within 24 hours. So that was fun.
What was that?
That was a 2019 Vauxhall Corsa. I went to G3 Bedford.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been back since, and now I've got a bunch in prep, about 4 or 5 cars that are going through the mechanics and the body shop in a minute.
Oh, cool. So you've taken the first step at least to
Yeah.
Broken the seal, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not too worried about, spending money to make money. And, someone I once worked with said, you got to crack some eggs to make an omelette, and that kind of stuck with me. You got to get in there and do it.
A couple more questions for you. Obviously, I know you sort of explained a little bit about you, but how old are you now?
I'm 30.
30. So what did you do before you was self-employed? Have you got any sales experience?
So my very first job when I was 15, I worked at a hotel as a barman. Realised don't want to really do this forever. That's
how you learned the chat.
Yeah. And then it was my dad actually. Very grateful to him. He showed me that, you don't have to work for somewhere else. You can be your own boss, because he's had a wheel writing company since I was 4 years old. So I started working with him for a year or so when a law firm recruited me essentially. They got us in to do their estate planning, and when it was all said and done, they said they want to set up a wheels department. Would I come and help them do it? So I worked with them for about 9 months, which was very sales heavy. It wasn't your traditional law firm. It was very all about channels and, pushing the conversions and average sales and all that kind of stuff. I worked there for 9 months. But frankly, I just didn't really get on with the director that way. I was a bit of a BS artist. So I quit there and started my own wheel writing company. Ran that for about 5 years. And as I say, closed down in 2020, and I never really got going again.
Oh, I just wanted to gauge sort of a bit about sort of you as to, if this is a fresh environment, which it clearly isn't. You've been in a sales-driven environment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You didn't know that wheel writing could be a high-pressure sales environment, because it's quite
so it can be. Depends on which way you go about it. I've worked with some people who are very, very high. I don't want to say high pressure. They'd assume this is what you want. They just start going through it, and there wasn't time for similar to how I've seen a few videos recently of that Mike Brewer, how he sells a car. It just kind of says, yeah, that's what we're doing. Let's go for it. Whereas I wasn't particularly that way. I kind of very much just informed people of what they could do, what it's going to cost them. I more went the silent way, where the first person to speak loses, and you just let them tell you they want to do it. You go in saying, you're going to do £120 single wheel or £200 for a couple. But really, that's not what you're there for. You want to walk away with powers of attorney and a property trust, and walk away with over £1,000 from each meeting, really.
Sounds pretty good. So anyway, right, we digress. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. So I've got you down here as Neen Valley Cars Limited. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so obviously, I assume that you live in Neen Valley, or it is in Neen Valley?
Yeah, so it's the Neen Valley counties, this area here, Northamptonshire, Kettering, Rushden, Higham Ferrers. So a lot of businesses kind of use that as their trading name.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I've got Neen Valley Motor Company, Neen Valley Classics, and there's like a couple of others that have sort of sprouted themselves up that are very, very similar.
I saw that as well, and I thought that, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. As in, if you've got Neen Valley Cars and you've got Neen Valley Motor Company, and it could be very easy for later down the line with like reviews and stuff like that. I was just thinking that sometimes it's very easy for somebody to leave a review with maybe the other company, and they think it's a car they bought from you. So I just when I was looking last night, I thought that might be a.
It was the first thing that jumped out to me. So obviously, if it's
it?
jumping out at Theo as well, it's probably something that maybe I'm not saying you should change the name, but maybe something you should consider as to, is there a conflict there? The Neen Valley Motor Company, they look, if you're going to be selling courses and stuff like that, they've got 10 of those. And your website's also very similar to theirs. There's there's definite, that I could see somebody getting themselves in a bit of a pickle over that. Could work really well, or it could definitely work against you. So whatever way you look at it, there's pros and cons.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind rebranding, say another name. I thought just DS Car Sales, something like that.
I always think if you've got the Neen Valley Cars or Neen Valley Motor Company, that's great if you stay in the Neen Valley. But if you've got a net like James's Platinum, obviously, so that can be anywhere in the world, can't it?
Yeah, that is true. Because I started browsing premises, and some of them were going over the Bedfordshire border, and I thought, well, I'm no longer in the Neen Valley counties now.
And I always think if you've got I would always go for. Bowen's Garage is us, but that's the company that we bought. It's not actually my name, but that means you can take it anywhere. Whereas if you've got something with your location on it, I think it sort of can limit you as well to if you do branch out or go elsewhere. Then obviously if you've got your name rather than location.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. And obviously you've got a Facebook account. I couldn't quite find an Instagram account, but obviously you've got one car at the moment, so it's not.
Yeah, well, the one that's sold, the others aren't even up for sale. Yeah, they're in prep right now. So,
out of curiosity, I assume obviously because you've seen the, what would you do if we had £50,000 podcasts? I assume that you've taken the approach that if you've got a car incoming, you're not going to put it on the website and advertise it anyway. You're only going to advertise it when it's. Yeah. Why did you pick that option over the get it online, hope for the best?
I wouldn't feel great about someone showing up and not being able to them to walk away with it that day, or at least not had the the valet done and the body work, your paint filled. And I mean, I've been to see a car before myself, a Golf, when the fellow just got it in stock. He literally brought it into his garage, and it's it just looked awful. I mean, it would have looked great afterwards. It needed a new badge and things and a bit of touching up, but it just puts you off. So I'd rather someone can turn up and buy it that day. That's the model I want to go for.
Okay, that's fair enough. And am I correct in saying that you've potentially got a premises on the horizon?
Yeah, so hopefully, saw it in December, and the landlady said end of February that renovations would be looking to be done. Followed them, chased them up again the other day and said, we've agreed heads of terms. We haven't had any lease issued yet to start those negotiations through that. And they said the solicitor they were going to use has retired, and they're still trying to find another solicitor. So starting to look a bit like, are they going to long this out? But hopefully that one does come through, because it's a good premises. Where it's situated in a village called Ringstead, all of the local towns are within 20-mile radius. So that's really great. You've got like Northampton, Kettering, Peterborough, even Milton Keynes isn't too far away. So I feel like for search radius, online presence, it'll be really good for Auto Trader and stuff like that.
Is that on is that a main road site or like a?
It's kind of on a main road. I wouldn't say it's a main road site though. It's behind a hedgerow. At the minute, the courtyard's all just muddy, but it's going to have a hard ground, and eventually.
How many cars do they think you'll be able to, or how many cars do you think you'll be able to get on?
So this unit here will be. I know it's not going to be great showing the screen like this, but I'm going to be able to get at least 12 cars inside here.
Oh yeah.
And there's a mezzanine on the top to do your your paperwork and office bits and all that. And you can't really see from this angle. And as I say, it's muddy at the minute, but there's a big courtyard as well.
Okay.
And the landlord seems pretty agreeable that, if things expand and I want to get more in stock, perhaps I give them a bit of money, or as long as it doesn't hinder any of the businesses on the site, they'll be happy for me to use, the front courtyard. But there's a nice row, because I'm against the fence, where I could fill that up with another 10 cars or more.
And what sort of money is that?
It's 15,000 a year, 12.50 a month, with a small service charge. Can't see that being a lot.
So, out of curiosity, financially at the moment, you said that you've got a bit of money lying around. So are you in a position where you could potentially not necessarily fill that place up, but at least get sort of 10 cars in there?
Yeah, definitely. That's my short-term goal is I just want to get a premises and get 10 fully prepped, shining, photograph cars in there. That's my goal right now.
So why aren't you there with your finger up their bum, making it happen on your own solicitor? Make it fucking happen. There's plenty of people out there that do commercial leases. I reckon you could find 20 people today and you could have them.
That's what I was concerned about, it being a bit of a BS answer about how they're still trying to find a solicitor to use.
The problem is these people with all the money that own all these buildings is they don't give a fuck. They've got no time scale. They've got fucking loads of money and they don't care about your business.
Yeah.
So if you want to make it happen, pull your finger out, get after it, and just tell them what's going to happen. Tell them, say, look, you've offered it to me at that. I'm going to take it. If you're struggling for solicitor, I'll do the hard work. I'll find it. I'll be in there 1st of Feb. Does that work for you? If it doesn't, give me a date.
Yeah, you got to get on the front foot with these things, I think, and then obviously if they do drag their heels and they start giving you answers that, when you suggest maybe getting your own solicitor to sort it out, and they say, well, hang on a minute, then maybe start looking elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I have looked at a backup one, 16,000, so only another 1,000, and that one's 1,850 square foot. The other one as a replacement would be 1,650 square foot. So, but it is a bit more modern. So there's pros and cons. I'll see how I get on with this one.
I think both of them are sensible money, to be honest. I don't think they're out.
Yeah, it's not a lot, especially where you are as well, like that close to Milton Keynes, like decent. That's demographic wise. Obviously, you've got all the auction places, so buying availability is decent.
Yeah, so good. G3 is just 10 minutes from me, so getting the cars backwards and forwards is no cost. Fortunately, Dad's very helpful, giving me lifts and things, so it's so easy to get stock. There's BCA right by it as well that I haven't been to yet, and there's Mannheim in Northampton in the other direction, which is still really close.
Yeah, you're in a nice spot.
Yeah.
So I think you need to start getting after it. That's what needs to happen here.
While we're on premises, there was actually a question I had about that. The estate agent mentioned needing to get a change. Where is it?
Change of usage.
Yeah. How?
Where is it? Is it on a farm?
It's not particularly a farm. I think it's owned by a farmer before. It's really just some units that are just off a country road.
If it's a barn and it's got agricultural use only, you will need to get permissions changed. So most of them will have permissions available. Also as well, some people don't give a shit. Some councils don't care.
Yeah, well, I thought, why is the council even going to know I'm there? Like,
the only thing that you might suffer as a stumbling block is your insurance. When they go, have you correct permissions to sell used vehicles from here?
Right.
But I don't think it's a difficult process. Requesting permissions is not, especially somewhere that far out, I don't think it'd be tricky at all.
Yeah, I can't see how anyone would have a problem with it. There is a neighbouring building next door, some sewing building, but there's no one else around. I don't see why the parish council would care or the police would care, so hopefully that shouldn't be a problem.
Yes, I don't think that'll be a stumbling block for you either.
Good.
So, yeah, I think, have you got any questions for us? Is there some...
Yeah, the first thing I've got down is how would you assign the 50k pot, keeping cash flow in mind? I mean, I don't see why you'd need, as long as you've got a couple month expenses in the bank, I'd put it all into stock straight away. Would you agree? Or
Theo first. I got a different approach to this.
Yeah, I think we're probably fairly similar. I would put as much into stock as you can, because it's the stock that's going to make you money. Saying that, advertising is also going to help you sell the cars. The site itself, it'd be really easy to spend loads of money and make it look fantastic. And, you see other sites where they've done amazing things with the units and stuff. You can do that over time. Get your feet under the table, get some stock in, get some stock turning, and then look at making the site as you want. And over time, So yeah, I would say as much as you can into stock and advertising, and get the ball rolling as quickly as possible, because it's amazing if you've got 10 cars in stock and you do 10 a month, it'll soon build up pretty quickly, and then you've got that little bit of excess then to make little improvements to the site here and there, extra signage, whatever, just to tweak it to how you want it. But the most important thing is get some cars out the door, in my opinion. James might differ.
Have you got a long-term plan with like social media? Are you thinking about doing YouTube? What are you doing with that?
I hadn't really gone into this thinking I'm going to be doing YouTube and making vlogs and stuff like that. I suppose it's not hard to pick up a camera, and if anyone wants to watch, they can watch. So I'm not saying I wouldn't give it a go.
If you don't want to do it, you don't feel comfortable. Like I don't do it myself. Like I come on here and do this because I enjoy sharing what I can, what I've got with you guys. I don't do the video logs.
It's not particularly the plan.
Good. Okay. So my if I was in that position, I would get the lease signed up on whichever one immediately, and I would put every single penny that you have into stock. And I mean to the last penny, to the point where you shit in your pants and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because when that first sale rolls in, that's when you start making money. Okay. Then you can start spending money on the place. Then you can be like, oh, do you know what? We've got a little bit of spare money. I'll get a nice sign in. And people enjoy progress. Like they genuinely do. We do as dealers, especially, like we see somebody start up and you see like all of a sudden a nice office appears, then some nice signage appears. It's really nice to see, and people around you will enjoy it. It's kind of a little bit, I find it really boring when people just turn up, bang out a beautiful premises and just start trading. I'm like,
yeah,
cool. People want to see it. And you'll get your long-standing customers will also enjoy that journey. They'll be like, oh, last time I came here, you didn't have a great deal in, now you're doing this well. You must.
Yeah, you know what's really nice is that the first lady that come and bought the Corsa off me, she brought her dad with her, and he's telling me how he's going to need a new car in a couple of months, and he already wants to buy the next one off me. So that's really nice.
There you go.
And that'll be the kind of people that come back to you because they know they'll have a premises in a month or so, and then they get to see that. And yeah, like you say.
Yeah, it's nice to see the progression, definitely.
Yeah. And I remember there was a podcast with I can't remember the fella's name, but RS Car Sales, was it? Rory. I actually brought a car up him myself a long time ago, and he was operating just out of pothole industrial estate, like just nothing special. And I mean, it wasn't a super expensive car. I think it was about 15 grand. But I didn't really give two thoughts to the place. You're buying off the car and the person, aren't you?
Yeah, he's certainly got it nailed down now.
Yeah.
Yeah, see what he's got now. Yeah, so that's that journey.
But again, like everyone, he's been decent enough to document his progress, so people can see that, and people are genuinely pleased. And he's, you can see that he's worked hard enough to gain that. But I think a lot of people do watch your journey, even if it's, so say for example, someone buys a car off you, they will still carry on watching you for 2-3 years afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I did with him. You follow the social media and
you don't need to be massively active, but people do. They'll be like, "Oh, look, I put some new signs up." People are interested. People say they don't care. They do. They are interested. If you're putting an effort in, and they can see that you're constantly evolving, it's like a dripping tap fills the bucket mentality. If they bought a car off you 12 months ago and you put a Facebook post up going, "Oh, some new signage is up," they're like, "Oh, he's still there. Happy days. He's obviously doing all right." 12 months down the line, my car breaks down. MOT failure. I'll go back there. I saw a sign of him 6 months ago. It's that mentality that you need to keep going. And I think personally that works.
Do you think I need to put my new office plant up as a progression?
Oh, yes.
I've never had an office plant before. My missus said, right, you've been here 12 years, get yourself a bit of greenery. So that's my progression for this week.
Nice.
I got stitched up as soon as I did my new office. I had all these fake plants turn up everywhere. I've tried to hide them all in the corner. I think I've got one here, and then there's a load over there somewhere. So yeah, it's I get it. Sometimes a little female touch can be handy. Also, it can be difficult.
So yeah, that was my first question about signing the 50k pot. The next we've already kind of covered. Budget on premises is $1,250 a month. Okay for that size? You guys clearly say yes, go for it. So that's covered. Stock value limit. How much because obviously, don't have infinite money and trying to get 10, 15 cars in there.
100% personal preference. So whatever you want to sell and you're comfortable selling, just remember that the more expensive the cars that you buy, the less stock you will have. If you want to spread it so you've got 10, 12 opportunities, you can do that, or 20 or 5. That is your model that you stick to. So if you only want to do it once your cars are prepped, ready, 100% drive away ready, you will end up with less cars. Some people do it differently. So Dave Gott, he's done a roadside pitch before, and he said you spread it wide and then eventually you build your money up and you gradually increase the stock profile as you go.
Yeah.
But that's your preference, what you're comfortable with. Like personally, I'd say sometimes you've got to step outside the box. You do have to start selling stuff initially maybe you don't want to sell, and then treat yourself later on to be in a position where you want to be. But if that's where you are, you go with what works for you. It's impossible to sell a car that you really don't want to sell.
Right.
You're trying to explain something that you've got, it's got good value.
Citroens, Peugeots and all that sort of stuff, if I buy them in, he just says straight away, I wouldn't be selling that car for you.
No, I'm not interested in Peugeots or Citroens or anything like that. What I've been doing is saying, if I was looking for a car in that category of car, my life circumstances with that's the kind of one I'd go for in that group, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So is it going to be an appointment only sort of premises, or is it a drive-by premises?
I think I'm going to try to push people to make appointments ideally, because I can't see myself being able to be there to man it, enough hours a day.
That's what I was going to say, is whether you want to be, if you're going to be, you need to decide how many days a week you want to work. And obviously if you're out and about at auctions and it's just you, maybe you're helping your dad giving you lifts and stuff, then I would say definitely go. People are used to appointment only now since COVID anyway. I don't think they expect people to be there every hour of the day.
Yeah. And I'd only be 10 minutes from the unit.
Right on the side of the road and you're paying a lot of money to be there, then I think then you have to be there. But if it's a bit out of the way and
especially if you can close the door on it, like that's, you can definitely do appointment only, that, get some decent CCTV in there. That's not something you have to do straight away. And just get yourself going, and you can evolve as you go.
You thinking sort of 10 cars at $5,000 a pop-ish, I'm guessing?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So are you saying no French stuff, no Citroens?
Yeah, no, just never interested me. So I don't know why I'd stock it now, because I can't see why someone want to buy it. I mean, people do buy them, but
bought one yesterday, and it's not because the trouble. What you can do is, especially if you're starting out, you can narrow your focus so much on cars that you just end up freezing and not buying anything. So I will still buy them. It's just I have to sell them and not the old man. But you need to buy what you're comfortable with, but you have to obviously look at what sells as well.
Yeah, I think you may need to broaden your horizons and maybe consider what's value for money. So obviously you've just sold a Vauxhall Corsa. Me personally, if I had a choice between a Citroen C4 and a Vauxhall Corsa, personally I would take Citroen C4 because you get loads more for your money. But sometimes you just got to see it from a value point of view, like what you've paid for, the value the customer gets. So do you get Apple CarPlay, aircon, that sort of stuff? So I think maybe don't discount those things yet. And also as well, you're going to get part exchanges, and they will be Citroens, Peugeots, stuff that you don't necessarily want. And you might have a massive margin in it, and that might be your most profitable car. So maybe broaden your horizons a little bit, just to accept that as a used car dealer, you've got to enjoy everything for what it is. So whether it's a profitable car, good value for money, or just something that you like, you probably need to factor all of those into your business model to make it successful. We all sell cars that we don't particularly like, and we look at them and we're like, whoa, that's really not for me. And sometimes those cars are the ones that sell the quickest. I've had cars on the forecourt before and I'm like, fuck me, that is ugly as shit. I look at it and a little bit of sick comes out. It's all the worst things at the same time. And then you get 5 people ring up fighting over it. And you're like, what is wrong with you?
I remember I had
it's a sold car. Therefore, my favourite car.
The Daihatsu, was it Daihatsu Materia? Do you ever remember those, James?
No, that is a disgusting car. That's disgusting. That's
what?
I've got to try and be coy with this. It's basically disability personified, isn't it?
It was very nice. That's my more politically correct approach. But they sold brilliantly. absolutely brilliantly. And so, yeah, I think you've got it, especially when it comes to Part X's, they can be the ones that actually make you decent money.
Yeah, so if someone tried to part exchange a Fiat Cubo, how would you feel? If you know what one of those is.
Me?
No. Darren, do you know what a Fiat
Yeah,
Cubo
I can't
is?
say I know what a Fiat... I don't know what one of those is, no.
It looks like a giant frog
Yeah.
that's been vomited on and designed by a French person that shit his pants the night before. So unfortunately, they're going to turn up. You're going to have to do it, and sometimes you'll have to go on with it. So I think that's probably the point that we're trying to make. But they do sell, and you be prepared to be surprised. And I think you need to be open to that. And if you go in with a closed mindset, like Theo says, you will sort of bench off potential earnings.
Okay, yeah. And so
you can do it further down the line a little bit more. But I think in the initial startup, when you're looking to get the place stocked as quickly as possible and get the cars moving, I think the whole thing about this is just get those cars moving, and then your pot will quickly increase, and then you can start to niche a bit if you want to and do it more your way. But I think in the first part, you just need to get those cars in. And have you got a decent garage on board?
Yeah, so I've started using a new garage rather than my regular mechanics. My regular mechanic's great, but he's not exactly wanting to be busy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So been introduced to a friend in the same town, and he's done all my MOTs and services so far, and he's been great.
Cool.
And then for body shop, I've got a partner's sister's boyfriend, so quite close to the family. See him all the time. He's got a body shop, paint place, so that's where my cars are getting painted right now. So
sounds like you've got the sort of core set up and ready to rock and roll. I think it's just getting the site and getting some cars now.
Let's go.
Yeah. So do you make the best margins on your part exchanges then? Because you're cutting out all the middleman, you're cutting out the auction houses, and
very, very often we will make more on our part exchanges than we will do on the. I mean, realistically, in all honesty, if you're selling $5,000 stuff, you realistically on the part exchanges, you're probably not going to be making, because the part exchanges that are going to be coming in are going to be £1,000, or they're going to be first time cars that won't have part exchanges, aren't they? But once you get a bit higher up in the stock value, we very often get part exchanges in that we can retail. And, if you get it for somewhere in and around CAT for auto trader trades, you're not paying any fees, you're not paying any transport.
Yeah.
Cars
and you get to check it over. That's the main thing. You get to drive it, check it over. Theo's lucky he's got a garage right next to him. He can put it up on a ramp if he really wants to check it thoroughly. That is one of the main things on the part exchange front. You get a real good opportunity, and don't be lazy with it. Don't just take people's word for a part exchange. Get in it, drive it, check it over, check the bodywork. And if somebody turns up and they've told you that their car's mint, don't be afraid to turn around to them and go, do you know what? You fucking lied to me, mate. Like, you barefaced lied to me. I'm a small business. Like, I'm going to chip you. Otherwise, we're unwinding the deal. And sometimes you've got to do that. Sometimes it might be a car that you really need to sell, but you also don't want to overpay for a heap of shit. So that's something that
we've actually made it a priority this year, because when you're really busy, you can be really blasé with the part X's and you can go, well, that's fine. But this year we've sort of made it a real priority to be as honest as we can be on the part exchanges, as in, give people really what their car's worth. And if it doesn't work, these days they've got 150 other places that they can sell it. So don't be afraid to say, well, if you want to try it on motorway, by all means try it on motorway, or take it to We Buy Any Car.
So it doesn't stop the sale that way. They can still get rid of their car and everything goes ahead.
Exactly. Yeah.
So while talking about margins and things, this is the rough packet figures I've been working off. For these value cars, from what I've seen at auction, you're looking at, after fees, a gross margin of about 1,500. Is it reasonable to expect that to be about 700 net, all said and done, after mechanics, VAT, etc.? That's the kind of figure I'm working off.
Yeah, I'd say that'd be pretty handy, to be honest.
And if I've got 10 of these type of cars in stock, all up on Auto Trader, I'm looking at 2 cars a week is what I've put down as the goal to sell. Is that realistic? Turn them over each every month, 3 or 6 weeks?
Don't beat yourself up about that.
Yeah.
I don't, because the market's all over the place at the moment, and like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You've picked a really difficult time to decide to be a car dealer. So you might sell no cars for 2 weeks. And if that happens, don't start questioning yourself, because on that third week, you might sell 10 cars.
It's ups and downs.
It's not, there's no rhyme nor reason. If everybody knew the formula, we'd be sharing it with each other. We just don't. Like, sometimes there's buyers out there, sometimes there isn't. Just check what you're doing. If you believe in what you're doing, it will happen. Sometimes you've got to sit there and go, do you know what? I've done everything right, and you've just got to wait.
Yeah,
and it's
I'm pretty
painful.
comfortable with that. Because like I say, I've been self-employed best part of 10 years. So, you do have lows and highs, and one week you'll make a fortune, next week you won't do anything. So I'm kind of used to that as well. So hopefully that won't be too much of
car
an
dealing's
issue.
another kettle of fish. Just be prepared. It's not a case of 1 week I'll earn a load of money and the next week I won't. You can also lose as much as you earn the following week in warranty work. And that's something that you've really got to get on board with and realize that could happen. You could make 10 grand 1 week and you could lose 15 grand the next week. That is a real possibility. And people need to be aware of that when they jump into the trade.
Yes. Speaking of that, I went and brought a 1 litre EcoBoost that I said I wouldn't do, but the margin was just so good in it. So I guess, do you take those kind of risks on known problem engines?
I love EcoBoost. I've got a 1:12 ratio. Okay, so 1 in 12, the engine or the wet belt will let go. 11 of those customers absolutely love the cars. They go on, they do sensible miles. They're great. And the one that lets go, the engines are about 1,250 quid. They're readily available. And it's not, you can always wipe your nose on it. We don't lose any money on that. But like, when the people come and look at them, they drive so nicely.
Yeah,
they're not. Everyone's like,
so much
they're
better than the
underpowered.
Corsa.
They're not. They're lovely.
Yeah, it was really nice to drive. Really, really surprised me because I haven't been in one before, and I really liked it.
What age and mileage is the one you bought, Darren?
So I think it's 56,000 miles, and I think it is it 14 plate?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a 14 plate. Because I actually did want to just go through the buys that I've had recently, just to see if I'm on the right tracks. If you want to do that as well.
What's that EcoBoost going to go up for?
So, I mean, I'm not sure if I trust the auto trade evaluation because it is quite low miles, but apparently, let me pull up my notes. So I've got it all wrote down. So it cost me after fees, £3,300. Retail, they reckon it's 6,900. So that's a gross margin of 3.5, but that might be off because it's low miles.
What spec is it?
It's a proper boy racer spec. Someone's put an aftermarket kit on it, but someone's going to love it. Let me show you a little picture.
That's the Z-Tech S.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Price is right.
Really? £3,000 margin?
Well, on my website at the moment, I've got exactly the same car with 100,000 miles on it for £5,000.
Oh, that's crazy. Is that because people don't want to touch them? Is that why they go through so cheap?
Probably at the moment. They have dipped. I think they've dipped in the trade. You can buy, because obviously on a 14 plate or a 64, the belt is due now.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, and that's a big job, as you probably.
And would you swallow that? Would you get the belt done before it goes out, or how would you approach that?
James, I'm sure, probably got a different view to me on that as well. But we won't sell them unless the customers have them done. But we do get them. We do get them to contribute. We do them
they'll contribute to it.
Yeah, so
they'll pay to the bill for it. It'll be about 500 quid.
Our customers are paying 500, or the last two have actually paid us 750. We do it in house. It costs us about, it's nearly 2 days labour, and the kit's about 240 quid from Ford. You have to buy some other bits to go with it, like a timing toolkit and things like that. But yeah, I would, if you're going to be doing the warranties yourself, as in out of your own pocket,
then
I would eventually say, look, price it a little bit cheaper and then add the wet belt on. Or if you've got the margin there, then it might be worth getting it done, and then it's a selling point, isn't it? Put it at $7,000 and say, look, wet belt's just been done. That would be my way of doing it. James's way would.
I don't have a garage, so if I had a garage, I would do it Theo's way. We charge a minimum of £500 towards it, it's all dependent on the age and mileage. So yours being a 14 plate with 50,000 miles on it, so Ford's recommendation is 125,000 miles. I think it's probably due before that, but obviously that sort of information is readily available on the internet. So we'll share that with the customer, and we'll just say, look, if the car's that age that mileage with 50,000 miles on it, we would probably make them pay for the majority of the work. If it was slightly older with more mileage on it, we would probably suck up more of the bill.
Yeah. I did ask the mechanic how the oil change looked. He said there's no signs of any rub or anything like that. So,
it's up to them. It's a routine maintenance thing.
If they've been serviced correctly with the right oil, they're pretty good. The two that we've done in the last 2 weeks both the cars have done less than 30,000 miles, but they were 10 years old, so officially they're due. But they were both fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's got 6-7 stamps with it, and it's only done 35,000. So maybe I'll cross my fingers and leave it on that one, or see if the customer wants to get it.
I would give the customer the choice. If you've got a garage that's prepared to do it, if they're gonna swallow up the vast majority of the cost, then and you can do it for them, and they've got that peace of mind then going forward, haven't they? But if you want to take it's entirely up to you, really.
One point I will make is if you do give the customer the choice, make sure you put it on the receipt.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So if later on down the line, so say for example, 5.5 months down the line, their wet belt snaps or their engine seizes, you can say at point of inception, I gave you the opportunity to contribute towards a wet belt. You protect yourself tenfold. It's not an unreasonable conversation. Doesn't make you look like a dick. You're a small business trying to earn a bit of money. Yes, it is a risk, but it's a dual risk. So you've offered to pay X amount. They've offered to pay that. They've said no. You've said yes. I think long standing, that's how we've been taught to deal with that sort of thing.
And from my experience, it's pretty standard. I was looking at a XF. They needed one doing a couple of years ago before I brought it, and they said, you can pay for it, but you can pay trade prices. So that seems pretty industry standard that the customer pays.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm gonna jump in and basically just say, if anybody has made it this far on the podcast, you've obviously enjoyed it. So they're obviously enjoying hearing about Darren's story. So this is a great time to like and subscribe. And if you're interested and you want more questions, leave a comment on this episode if you've enjoyed it. Give Darren some feedback on how you think he's going to get on, how you can follow his journey. And obviously all the bits and pieces will be in the description below with all the Darren's websites and stuff, so you can follow his progress. So we move on. Have you got any more questions for us?
Yeah. So sourcing stock. At the minute, obviously, I've been using the local auctions. Should I look at trade to trade? Seems to be slightly better margin again to cutting out the auction fees, or are you likely to get
bear in mind the time factor with trade to trade. There's a lot of your time is valuable. Okay, so the trade to trade deals will take you on average, like you'll have to ring the person, make sure you agree the price. Hello, dog. And
that's Bruce.
There, you factor a day out of your life to go and get the car.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not close. Yeah,
if you've got time in your hands, fantastic. Do it. Get amongst it. Great opportunity to see the car, test drive it before you pay any money.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that, but just factor in your time. How much is your time worth?
I buy the vast majority of our cars trade to trade, and it was a hard slog. Like James said, when we first sort of went down that route, over time you build up the contacts, and after you built up the contacts, and if they're supplying you decent cars and you're a good buyer and you can get the transport sorted quickly and get the cars paid for, you'll end up meeting some good people that then you can just speak to on a daily basis, which is what we do now. So I just do everything through WhatsApp and I get offered cars and do it that way. But you're in a really handy position that you are so close to the auctions. I was on Northampton this morning looking at the stock, but for me, it's 200 quid to get a car here, really. Whereas for you, it's on your doorstep. So even though I'm probably paying less fees than you are currently, you're actually probably winning because you're right there. So you're in a really handy spot. Whereas for people like me Bristol's my closest, which is an hour and 20, you're in a really handy spot to be able to buy from auction. And I think if you want, as we've been saying, if you want to get that stock sort of in and on and gone, then auction is a good place to go. You could buy 5 in one sitting comfortably, couldn't you? And then
yeah, I bought 3 last week, 2 this week. I've got 5 floating about right now, nowhere to put them. So
yeah, so you're halfway there already, aren't you? So
yeah, halfway there. Yeah,
get that lease sorted and you can crack on.
That's what I really need. Yeah, I need the premises. Yeah. So I mean, we briefly covered on doing a self warranty.
Are you going to put money into a pot for that, or are you just?
Yeah, so factored in, put £100 per vehicle sold. Maybe that's too little.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
If you're selling £5,000 cars, that's fine. That'll build up real fast as well.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to get a fella that was on the podcast on here before, BAA, to administer it for me, because I'm not very good at saying no to people, so they can qualify if it's, actually needs paying for or not, and getting it done at the right price, etc.
You're going to have to get good at saying no to people. You're going to have to get real good, real fast.
Yeah.
All right. People are arseholes.
In that price bracket, you're going to have to be quite strict.
Yeah. You're going to have to be not a bastard, but you're going to have to be a polite bastard.
Yeah. Well, when you've only got £700 net, there's not a lot left, is there?
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna have to learn to say no to these people. And people will test you, and they will sob story you. They will do their best, especially if they've taken a risk or they've done something they shouldn't have done. A lot of people that are in their warranty period will break things and try and make it out that it's your fault. Okay. Our personal favourite is somebody that knocked a wing mirror off their car in Tesco. They rang us up. They're like, it's covered under warranty. I'm like, no. So they came up here and started screaming and shouting at us. And we're like, that's an insurance job. But just be prepared to be tested and brace yourself to say no. And, you don't have to be unpleasant about it. You're just going to have to say, look, I'm saying no for this reason. Okay. This is it. I apologize. I don't want to discuss it any further. I am a small business. Gesture of goodwill isn't available here either.
Yeah. That's why I liked the idea of having it outsourced to a third party. I think it's 18 quid for them to handle it for you, and then I could just direct them in that direction.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good option.
Yeah, that is a strong option.
Different auction houses. So far, I've only been to G3. I know a lot of it's all from finance companies. Do you find particularly a better standard of stock at BCA, Mannheim, or is it all very similar?
It's all shit. No, so my personal preference is if it's gone to auction, at some point someone stopped loving that car. So you have to bear in mind the fact that there's probably going to be some sort of niggly issue with it, regardless of age, mileage, years. There might be something that's undercovered. They all have something. The stock varies depending on the grading. Like, it's all over the place. Like, sometimes the BCA gradings are way off. Sometimes the Mannheim gradings are way off. Sometimes it's all very similar each and every way. Customer service wise, I've got my personal preferences. I've only bought once from G3, and I bought at the one in Bedford, but I'm so far away, it's almost financially unviable for me. I tried, don't get me wrong, but it's a long. I'd like it if they had one closer to us. It'd probably be more viable then. But from what I experienced, and they were really helpful. I buy from BCA now and again. I try and avoid it if I can. Not because I find it pretty difficult, but they're the ones that are local to me and the stock they want. It's quite difficult. And Mannheim Plymouth, obviously, I rave about them because they are, they're fantastic to me. And that's my experience. So
yeah, mine's the same, to be fair. I buy from Mannheim if I can, but we don't buy many. So out of 40 cars, maybe, well, this year I've had to dip back in a little bit because the stock's a bit thin on the ground, but I find Mannheim the easiest to deal with. Always helpful on the phones. They're quite quick with the transport, even to me, and I'm further up the M5 than James is. So yeah, it's trial and error with all of it.
Yeah, I think I'll give them all a try.
The only thing I would say is, obviously, with the finance cars, either somebody's stopped making their payments, or the car's been hit back because there's a problem with it. So
those are two options.
Yeah, so far 5 for 5 have been great. So I've been really impressed with all of them when I got in them and drove them. But obviously, it's not always going to be the case.
No, but that's auction. You're going to get some bad ones, especially in, like I say, even in our price bracket that's a bit higher up. We still get problems.
It's all a risk.
Yeah, so at the minute, I'm working back from doing auto trade evaluations because I don't have any packages or anything like that. So essentially, I just kind of look at what it's worth and take off what I think it will need with leaving a bit of margin in. But I think when I've got the premises, I will want to take out one of those packages, will I, to get the desirability score, the days to sales score. Is that stuff quite useful?
I'm probably the auto trader person to speak about. Me and James always clash on it, but I like the data, so it really helps me. But I did put a message in the group last night that I did have a long conversation with our account manager that I wasn't very happy with things on Friday. But I think if you're starting out, like James spoke with Sam in last week's one, I think it works to start with.
Yeah.
And then get your feet under the table, see if you think it's worth the money. Only you know if it's worth the money or not to you, and then decide from there, really. But it does have to be.
Do you think you could set up without it? Do you know your first car that you sold? Did you sell that online?
I could do the buying without it. I don't think I could do the selling without it, really.
Did you sell your first one through Auto Trader?
I did, yeah, within 12 hours. I was suspicious it came through so quick. It was 10 o'clock at night, and she's saying, I'm desperate to come see this car. Can I have the first reviews, or can I be there in the morning? I was thinking, being set up for something here, this is too easy. And so yeah, that one went through Auto Trader.
It will be, I mean, I don't know what a 10-car package costs these days. Well, from April, it'll be more than what it is now anyway. So I don't know what it would cost on the very basic package. It's going to be a couple of grand a month, James, probably, isn't it? I would think something like that.
I think somebody's done it recently, and I'm pretty sure that it's £1,000 plus VAT as a starter, because obviously they get you in, and then once you're in, you're an addict, and they'll keep jabbing you. But obviously, please do explore other options. There are other options available. If your photos and your advertising is okay and you're happy to interact with it, Facebook and Instagram is excellent. Perfect example of that is Danny Bond, DB Car Sales, and now Dave Gott. He's jumped on the bandwagon and he's seeing massive results from it.
Yeah.
Theo does really well on YouTube. All their social stuff is very good. They also see results from that, but he won't tell us how good it really is. He's keeping that from us.
Yeah, so that is kind of the longer term goal. So I wrote down short term goal just to get the premises, 10 car stocks, advertise up for sale on Auto Trader. Long term goal to get FCA regulated and then do the meta adverts with the finance deals. I feel like once you can do the finance,
you need to start Facebook early. So Facebook's a very, very much a long term dripping tap fills the bucket. So you need to be active on there regularly for, I'd probably say 12 months before you receive any traction. So you become like it's a bit like a sort of like a plant, basically. So it's a live entity that you keep putting a bit of effort in. And then all of a sudden, your ergonomic traction doubles, and then it doubles again, and then it doubles again. And before you know it, it's people's go-to place. So that's where you get your opportunist sales. I would, again, I've said it a number of times, I'd heavily recommend giving Car Gurus a go, just because it's so cheap. It's £10 a car per month. It's no money.
Nothing to lose.
Throw away money.
I started with them this week on the back of some of the other guys doing quite well.
Yeah, we've all had. So it was Sheik that said it to me, and I've always been skeptical. Like I said, I've actually got quite a lovely stroke peculiar relationship with the guys at Car Gurus now, because I was a little bit rude about them on the old interwebs, but now we've become friends for life. But it's genuine, like it's legit. All the stuff they send through, like you can't lie about it. Everyone's got Google on their phone now, so when a customer turns up to the dealership, they know online that the customer's attended. So they've got proof that they came into your dealership and bought a car. So you can't lie about it anymore. Everyone's got live tracking on their phone. So it's undeniable proof that functions and it's a reasonable thing. eBay Motors Pro, I'm on the fence with at the moment. I've had okay results for a really long period of time and I've just done nothing with it. I reckon probably March I'll reassess that. Don't know. You've cancelled yours, haven't you? Have you noticed it?
Yeah, we handed in our notice last week. We barely sold anything off it. And the bit that annoyed me was it wasn't because our adverts were poor, because we're still busy on our website and still busy on Auto Trader. So it wasn't the adverts. So for whatever reason, whether our cars didn't fit that market. So we've given our notice and we're going to put some into Car Gurus and then probably put some into Facebook and so on. But it's trial and error. What you could do is obviously have the smallest package available with Auto Trader, so you still get all the data and everything that comes with it, but it's not going to completely smash you to pieces in terms of costs each month. And then you could have all your stock on Car Gurus, which, like James says, doesn't cost a great deal. You could try it that way. All these things, when we keep saying it is just trial and error, and you will make mistakes and things won't always go to plan. But just get going.
Yeah, so I think that's the takeaway. The first thing is I need to get this premises, because if I don't have a building, I'm tied down to how much I can really do. So I need to get that sorted, isn't it?
Yeah,
we agree.
And then start growing the Facebook organically. Try to get people interacting. that's going to be a long process, isn't it?
You can even do some. I know about YouTube and stuff. YouTube's quite saturated now, but you could even, if you are starting your little Facebook page, just do some little videos when you're going to look at the new site and when you're doing bits and bobs, even short little 2-minute videos, and just keep on putting that stuff on there, and you'll soon get, if your friends share, you get your friends to share it and your family and whatever, and you'll soon.
You don't have to put your face in it either. You don't have to be the face of it. Like your building can be the face of your business or the sign or whatever. It doesn't have to be, our social media is faceless. So there's only the cars. We don't have anybody's faces, literally nothing. So you don't feel that you need to put yourself in front of a camera, but the way that the internet is going now, they interact well with videos, they interact well with photos. The descriptions, you need to bear in mind people's attention spans.
Yeah.
And as long as you sort of think about that before you put it on the internet, you'll do well out of it.
Yeah. No one wants to see a block of text. They want short video, pictures. Yeah.
Think how you bought cars, how you like to buy cars personally. Then just try and filter that into your own business, I would say.
Right. So if you can do us a massive favor, can you tell us where can we find you on the internet, website address, details, stuff like that? And if you can give us a brief summary, where you think we're going to see you in 6 months' time.
Okay, so it's currently Nem Valley Cars. That's at Nem Valley Cars on Facebook and Instagram, nemvalleycars.co.uk on the website. Where will you see us in 6 months' time? In our premises. That's the first thing. Hopefully 10 plus cars in stock. On Car Gurus and probably a standard Auto Trader package. That seems like the goal right now.
Yeah, around the 5K mark.
5K right. Yeah, range. Yeah.
Superb. We wish you all the luck. Hopefully, we'll be able to check in with you in about 6 months' time, so we can have a little bit. Because obviously, last week, I don't know if anybody saw the link in it. I'm sure the fantastic guys that do the internets and YouTubes, they'll put it in the link below. We caught up with Sam last week that we spoke to in August last year. So his little journey.
I haven't watched that yet, but I will do.
Well, he's basically 6 months down the line ish, and it's a great watch, and we'd like to see as much of it as we can. And I think people on the old interwebs, they want to see as much of that as we can. And if we can do 1% of that, we're delighted. And I'm sure Theo will agree that if we've got a remote amount of input, even if it's shit, and you go, do you know what? That's terrible advice. Fuck it off. We've done it.
No, thank you for your time. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's great to get some advice from experienced people.
And you will make mistakes, so don't think that you will make mistakes. And we do. We've been doing it for bloody years.
All the time.
You just got to enjoy the good times, and you sound like you've got it 80% of the way there. So I think you will. I think you'll start to see the fruits of it fairly soon.
Great. Hopefully. Thank you.
All the best.